So Shannon Sharpe is filling in for Stephen A. Smith on First Take this Friday, and he's doing a bang-up job, okay? The newly First Take personality Shannon Sharpe has already made his presence felt on ESPN's biggest daily show, and will on Friday get even a bigger opportunity as he fill in for Stephen A. Smith. Shannon posted on X, formerly known aka Twitter, that he will try his hand with his very first time being the lead dog in a studio before thanking Smith and ESPN for the opportunity. Now, he posted this on his X, aka Twitter account. Your favorite unk is sliding into at Stephen A. Smith's chair and host Fridays at First Take. It's my very first time being the lead dog. Thank you, Stephen A. Smith. And first Take, believing in me, giving me the opportunity. Tune in and watch your boy do what he do, okay? With the prayer emotes, hashtag ESPN, hashtag First Take. He fits the tone of the show well. Despite joining remotely from Los Angeles, he's reportedly has helped First Take in the ratings, okay? According to Front Office Sports, Shannon has been part of three of First Take's most watched broadcasts, just simply debating on the program in early September that overlapped with the football season, of course, but is notably and continues to First Take widening the gap when you talk about the competition out there. And he's even widening the gap with Sharpe's previous show, Undisputed. Last month, Smith hinted his support for Shannon becoming the future host of First Take. Whenever Smith eventually, Smith meaning Stephen A. Smith, leaves the show, the two clearly have a professional, friendly relationship on and off the studio, traveling together with the Colorado game, that's the Deion Sanders game this season, and going home on another. Basically they're talking about Undisputed. They did the same thing. Considering Smith's focusing on creating a space on First Take for another voice, especially black men and women on the network, Sharpe is the successor for Smith. Sharpe is a well-known athlete who has developed his own signature voice and his loyal audience in the media sphere. He fits First Take's ability to be both serious and silly depending on the moment. And in the building, the Club Shay Shay Media, Sharpe provides has the opportunity to make that be a key role as producer, interviewer on the show, and in the future, just like Smith does, okay? So basically, Shannon Sharpe is killing it over there at the worldwide leader of sports. And speaking of killing it, Jesus Christ, Shannon Sharpe, and this was from the article of Front Office Sports. Go check that out. Sharpe's impact pole vaults First Take to soaring viewership in just 6 weeks. Okay. Since teaming up with Stephen A. Smith, the former Fox personality co-starred 3 of the 4 most watched shows. The 3-time Super Bowl winner joined ESPN as a part-time on September the 4th. Stephen A. Smith recruited Shannon Sharpe to ESPN, is shaping to be one of the biggest sports media talents in a couple of years. After being courted by Smith, Sharpe joined First Take on a part-time basis on September the 4th, but in only 6 weeks on the air, the Pro Football Hall of Famer has already co-starred in 3 of the 4 most watched shows on First Take. When you talk about their episodes, said source. Monday's top rating First Take edition with Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith plus Molly, they grew massive attendance when you're talking about viewership. That is only behind the viewership who tuned in to First Take in the morning after Daryl Hamill's incident on his incident January the 2nd. All right, nearly 5 times the viewership for Skip Bayless Undisputed, which premiered a week early before the dynamic duo. Despite a rusty start, Sharpe calling Stephen A. Smith Skip, his First Take debut on September the 1st, averaged a ton of viewership, and his Tuesday morning appearance after Aaron Rodgers' season-ending injury on Monday Night Football pulled in a lot of viewership. I'm not even going to talk about the numbers. Shannon Sharpe makes his move on ESPN First Take with Stephen A. Smith. There's a picture out there that shows Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. Dwayne Wade allying to LeBron James. It shows Stephen A. Smith's face on Dwayne Wade's body, and it shows, of course, Shannon Sharpe's face on LeBron James. Jesus Christ. According to the source, several factors play in as football entered its 6 weeks. First, ESPN First Take and Get Up morning shows have become the de facto biggest shows on ESPN, particularly with football storylines. Sharpe timed his debut perfectly as he joined ESPN to kick off the NFL regular season. Second, Smith played the chief Dallas Cowboy hater role, while Bayless waved the pom-poms to America's team. So many viewers enjoy tuning in and watching Smith react to after the Dallas Cowboys win or lose, but especially after being brutally beaten. And I'm a huge Dallas Cowboy fan, but I'm an objective Dallas Cowboy fan. The Dallas Cowboys got beat by the San Francisco 49ers 42-10. We also got beat by the Arizona Cardinals, but that's neither here nor there. And Stephen A. Smith, as well as Shannon Sharpe, was ridiculing the Dallas Cowboys. I don't blame them. The 49ers loss was bad. Okay. First Take is placed to be because evidently Big D is not the place to go. Smith cracked. Cracked and joked on. Okay. Former ESPN employee Dan Le Batard has clashed with Smith over the years, but eventually he's impressed by First Take pulling their viewership. This is a monstrous number from Dan Le Batard. This is a monstrous number. When all numbers are declining, that's a great number in daytime. it represents twice as much as what the show has always done at its best, noted Dan Levitar on his Wednesday show. Sharpe and Smith has traveled via private jet to Deion Sanders' college football game, with them bromancing in full swing as they apparently have their own independent podcast. Stephen A. Smith has his show on YouTube, and Shannon Sharpe, Club Shay Shay, that's on YouTube. Both of them are quote-unquote podcasts. I think Club Shay Shay is more of a traditional podcast than the Stephen A. Smith show, but I digress. The chemistry is very positive. Smith as Sharpe, Sharpe as Smith, basically being Sharpe is going to be Smith's heir when Stephen A. Smith leads First Take for late night television or politics. I talked about this on this particular channel about the future of Stephen A. Smith. All right, Sharpe appeared on First Take roughly two or sometimes 3 days a week, alongside the rotation list of guest debaters, including Ryan Clark. I think Ryan Clark is underappreciated. A lot of people don't really appreciate Ryan Clark, what he brings to the table. Marcus Spears, Christopher Mad Dog Russo, and Dan, I'm going to butcher his name, Dan Orturi. He's mainly on the earlier show, Get Up. He's, his face is in the place on that show. But the 3-time Super Bowl champion left Bayless Undisputed this June after nearly 7 years together on the air Fox Sports 1 cable network. During the appearance of the Stephen A. Smith show, Sharpe warned Bayless in the revamped Undisputed cast, including Pro Football Hall of Famer Michael Irvin, Keyshawn Johnson, Richard Sherman, they'll never beat First Take, even if Smith leave the show. I have some criticism. I have something to say about that. Y'all not going to be better than me and Stephen A. Smith. That's not going to happen. I promise you, that is not going to happen ever, Sharpe declared. Now, if Stephen A. Smith says, Shannon, I want you to go a different direction, and we talked about this last week about them collaborating as far as the future holds for Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith with ESPN. We talked about that briefly, but let me reread this once again. Now, if Stephen A. Smith says, Shannon, I want to go in a different direction, you are all still not going to beat us, because Stephen A. is that dude. If Stephen A. Ever decides to leave and turn the reins over to me, you all know I'm that dude. I'm him. Now the problem y'all got is, okay, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, he's just basically Sharpe is just going back and forth. You know how Sharpe does. Okay, so I done read both articles from the Front Office Sports website. Go check them out. Go check out those articles for yourself, and let me chime in with my opinion. Now, first and foremost, let's get this on out of the way before I get into my opinion. ESPN is in more households than Fox Sports 1. I have demonstrated that. I have given you guys the stats. It's in more markets than Fox Sports 1. ESPN First Take has been crushing Undisputed, even with Shannon Sharpe. For 7 straight years. And Shannon Sharpe is the most popular personality on Undisputed. On social media, he's heavily demanded. The guy has a tremendous reputation. Insiders respect Shannon Sharpe. The athletes, the modern day athlete, when you talk about NFL, NBA, just the modern day athlete, they all gravitate to Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe has a very successful podcast, Club Shay Shay. Okay. Even with all of that, and you still got Skip Bayless, the guy you love to hate. He's more popular because everyone hates Skip Bayless. Everyone hates Skip Bayless, excuse me. Even with all of that, Undisputed still could not dethrone ESPN with Stephen A. Smith and a cast of characters. Okay, Stephen A. Smith with Max Kellerman. And Stephen A. Smith thought that those shows were a downgrade, and he also said, quote, he didn't have great chemistry with Max Kellerman. And Undisputed still, on the height of Undisputed popularity, on the height of Shannon Sharpe's popularity, on the height of the hatred of Skip Bayless' popularity, they still couldn't pole vault ESPN Undisputed. And ESPN had a lot of setbacks with the Max Kellerman situation. We all know how that ended up. Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith went to upper management and said, hey, it's either me or Max. Okay. They chose Stephen A. Smith, and then they sent Max Kellerman to a failing morning show with Keyshawn and Jay Will. That was on life support. Then they gave him his own show in the afternoon, This Just In. They knew that this show wasn't going to last. This show wasn't going to last no more than a year because they already had a deal in place with Pat McAfee. Okay, so even with all that, on the height of the popularity of Shannon Sharpe, the height of the popularity of Fox Sports 1, the height of the popularity of people hating Skip Bayless, Undisputed still couldn't surpass ESPN. Because if you look at it, women lie, men lie, but numbers don't. The numbers say that the ESPN is in more households. It's just simply in more cities. It's in more media outlets than Fox Sports 1. So let's just go and get that on out of the way. All right. So when we found out that Shannon Sharpe was no longer going to be on Fox Sports 1, and we all speculated the possibilities he could land, we all said that there's a great chance that he could go to ESPN, because ESPN is trying to welcome in this new sports media. ESPN is opening their hands with open arms. The traditional media is a thing of the past. Having journalists from magazine and papers and publications, and that is a thing of the past. And now it's more so personality. It's who's hot, who's trending, who's popular. Pat McAfee is what's hot, what's trending, what's popular. It's a no-brainer that ESPN would sign Shannon Sharpe. Okay. Now, we also talked about, when Shannon Sharpe exit stage left from Fox Sports 1, a lot of people think that he got fired. I thought it was a contract dispute, but either way, he was shown the door. And I talked about, Shannon Sharpe Shannon Sharpe's star is no brighter, no hotter than right now. Shannon Sharpe as a free agent, people are going to be wrapping around his house trying to persuade Shannon Sharpe to join their network, to join their platform. I said ESPN, but I also said that Amazon is on the outside looking in. iTunes was on the outside. Well, Apple was on the outside looking in. You had CBS Sports may welcome back Shannon Sharpe with open arms. NBC Sports has been purging certain talent through the years that used to work at ESPN and Fox Sports 1. You know, Shannon Sharpe just going fully rogue and just going independent, okay? Taking Club Shay Shay to another stratosphere. That was a possibility, okay? But ultimately, Shannon Sharpe chose to have flexibility and control over the money, because he's going to get the money later on. And allow your boy to explain. Shannon Sharpe chose the path of just doing First Take on a part-time basis. Have Club Shay Shay sponsored by and in collaboration with The Volume. That's the Colin Cowherd digital network. They're like business partners. He's, Club Shay Shay is going to be sponsored by The Volume. He's also going to be doing exclusive content for Colin Cowherd's The Volume. All right. And he also announced to the world that he was going to have a late night show called Nightcap. And it's basically a fresh take of what transpired in the week that was in the National Football League. And he was going to host that with Ocho Cinco. Okay, I thought that was a good tandem. Chad Ocho Cinco. Let's just call it for like it is. So he chose that path, and he didn't. And a lot of people were wondering, well, why didn't Amazon offer him more money? Okay, why didn't Kick offer Shannon Sharpe more money? Okay, why didn't Spotify offer more money and exclusive content? I mean, allowing Shannon Sharpe to his content is only going to be plastered on Spotify. Okay, as well as these networks like CBS and NBC, CNN, MTV, BET possibly on the horizon, way, way, way on the outside looking in. Why none of these platforms, none of these networks offered Shannon Sharpe, made Shannon Sharpe an offer he could not refuse, okay? And I think it's twofold. One, I feel like Shannon Sharpe was very strategic in how he's going to orchestrate, his future moving forward. I think that was a possibility. And two, I think Shannon Sharpe's past has demonstrated that Shannon Sharpe can sometimes be problematic, okay, with his relationships over there at CBS Sports. He didn't leave CBS Sports on good terms. He did not leave Fox Sports 1 on good terms, all right? And maybe those two reasons are the reasons why the networks and the platforms I just mentioned was probably not interested. They was interested, but they was not going to give Shannon Sharpe full control and give him a huge bag or make him an offer he could not refuse, okay? But Shannon Sharpe chose the path what he chose, and he went to ESPN part-time. Now, I thought that when news broke out that he was going to be signed to the worldwide leader of sports, he was going to do ESPN part-time, but then also have his own show on ESPN and then port Club Shay Shay to the ESPN podcast. Okay, that was my thought that he ultimately chose ESPN. Now, Stephen A. Smith recruited Shannon Sharpe, but if you look at how it's set up, how much of an influence Stephen A. Smith had with the powers that be over there at ESPN. I think ESPN was looking at this, hey, we have an opportunity to change the direction on the future of sports media. It's not about, hiring the best media person, the best journalist or the best sports broadcaster or the best insider that speaks to the bigger and the best stars and things of that nature. It's all about stardom and who is hot, who is trending. And Pat McAfee and Shannon Sharpe, check those boxes. Not to mention the fact Pat McAfee and Shannon Sharpe, they have expertise in the sports business, in the sports side of things. They know the X's and O's, the Peters and the Joes, and things of that nature. But I feel like ESPN really, wanted these two guys because they are trending and they are popular, and they're going to usher in how sports is going to be broadcast from here on out. It's all about social media. I think as the years go on, social media is going to have a huge impact on streaming as well as cable and satellite television. Everyone's going to incorporate the social media aspect, and shows and networks are going to be run like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. Okay, this is the new future of sports media, and it's not going to be sports media no more. It's going to be sports entertainment. Okay, because this is entertainment. Okay, as long as you can keep the viewership in, it's entertainment. It's not about being, it's not about having a lot of sources and it's not about having a journalistic background. Okay, it's not about none of that. It's about who is trending, who is hot, who is popular. And when you look at Pat McAfee and Shannon Sharpe, those two guys fit those boxes. Okay, so a lot of stuff to talk about. All right, so when you read the articles, both articles from that website, Shannon Sharpe is feeling himself, and he should. He's ESPN First Take viewership has always been up there. All right, but they have been hugely successful with the introduction of Shannon Sharpe. Okay, and I feel like ESPN got two of the best personalities in sports entertainment: Shannon Sharpe and Pat McAfee. Now, what does this mean for their competition? Because first and foremost, competition is good. Competition is good. Okay, quote from Hard 8 Times. Okay, I'm gonna give him his shout outs on that. All right, so what this means for the rest of the landscape. All right, I think what worked 10, 20, 30 years ago, that model don't exist today. And that's one of the reasons why Undisputed, ratings are, not there. Okay. When you look at their afternoon shows, and I talked about this last week, their afternoon shows are getting a huge upclick. All right. When you talk about Speak, the Herd Show, and there's one more. First Things First. What does all those shows have in common, and why those shows are different from Undisputed, as well as the I forgot that I forgot that guy's name. The first show that starts is it Caruso? The Caruso show. Anyway, the Carson show. Excuse me. Why those shows are different from Undisputed and the Carson show? How come the Carson show and Undisputed is not joining the second team, which is the afternoon team? Okay, there's a lot of reasons behind that. First and foremost, when you check out the Herd Show, Speak, and First Things First, they're not competing with First Take. Okay. And they're definitely not competing with Undisputed, all right? Not in that time frame. So that's one thing. But two, if you look at those shows, and if you look at Undisputed and the Carson show, those shows are welcoming in social media. They have social media topics. Those shows are built on the social media model. They interact with their guests. I mean, they talk about things what's transpiring on Instagram, Twitter, as well as sports topics, and plus crazy takes, wacky and crazy takes. All right. And another thing, those shows will mainly speak, and mainly speak. It's kind of, all three of those shows. They're not debate. They're not yelling at and screaming at one another. Occasionally they do, but technically they're not debate shows, and they're moving away from old sports media. When you look at First Take, however, in the Carson show is set up like an AM show, like a show that you hear on AM radio, occasionally on FM radio. All right, it's set up and built around that model. And that's an old model. And that's one of the reasons why the Carson show hasn't had a lot of success. And when this was introduced last year, I told you guys, when Fox Sports 1 introduced their fall lineup last year, I felt like the Carson show is going to be a dud, and I'm being proven right. Now, with Undisputed, it's set up similar to the old way of how sports shows are done. They're still holding on to embrace debate. They sort of kind of welcoming in social media. The viewerships get an opportunity to tweet Undisputed that the things they want to ask Skip or whoever's on the show. But it's basically a bunch of blowhards yelling at one another. All right. And when you go back to the first show of Undisputed, when they promoted this quote unquote dream team, he had all of them there, and everyone is yelling and screaming, and everyone had something to say. And that was the show where Shannon Sharpe. Skip Bayless was a moderator. He didn't get an opportunity to join the conversation because it was just too many of them over. It was just too chaotic. Plus, Undisputed, out of all the shows, including First Take, they got a lot of character building, chemistry building, and personally, they got a lot of refiguring how to make this work. Because they got the most personalities that just joined the show. Richard Sherman, Keyshawn Johnson, Michael Irvin, Skip Bayless. Okay. You also had I forgot the lady that does the NBA talk. She used to be on ESPN. She's on there. It's just too many people to try to fix and make it work. And if you've been watching Undisputed, you slowly been seeing them, changing and moving parts around to try to make this work. Maybe Monday show you have all of them there. Tuesday and Wednesday is Richard Sherman or Keyshawn Johnson debating Skip Bayless. And then you have Michael Irvin on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Then you got Lil Wayne and Skip Bayless. Oh, and also Lil Wayne. So Lil Wayne is on there, all right? So you got all of these people joining Undisputed, and it's going to take them a while to get it right, to get everyone gelled, to get everyone acclimated, to develop chemistry. It is going to take a while. All right. So they got the biggest. It's almost like ESPN is building a mansion, and ESPN already has a mansion, and they're just extending another room. Versus Fox Sports 1, they just tore down a mansion and now they're rebuilding a brand new mansion. It's just a lot of work on Undisputed. And on top of that, look, they don't have Fox Sports 1 and ESPN are light years apart. Even with all the subscribers ESPN has been losing, they still have more subscribers than Fox Sports 1. All right. They're in more markets than Fox Sports 1. They're on more networks than Fox Sports 1. I mean, I'm sorry. It is what it is, and the numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, but the numbers don't. So it's going to take a while for Undisputed to get their legs back. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of shuffling of the deck. And I also think that this football unit that's going to debate on football season, I don't think this is a better unit when you compare what they got over there at ESPN. ESPN got Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharpe, Christopher Mad Dog Russo, Ryan Clark. Okay. There's two other names I'm forgetting, but just those four personalities right there are better than the whole group of Undisputed. It's just gone and it's going to take a while for Michael Irvin to get into the flow of things. I mean, you can exchange. Michael Irvin and Skip Bayless are interchangeable parts. Okay, they both like the Cowboys. Okay, and they both like their discussions. They're likable. I mean, and when you look at Richard Seymour and Keyshawn Johnson, they're almost as similar too. So there's no good versus evil dynamic over there at Undisputed. There's no. It's just, I'm not saying that you have to be good and evil, but there's no positive and negative. When you have positive energy and negative energy on a magnet, it sticks together. But when you turn the magnet over and you try to put the positive side of the magnet and try to press it up to the positive side to another magnet, it's like there's a force field and it's keeping them from keeping the magnets to clicking. Okay, and it's gonna take a while. I feel like Undisputed's NBA staff, when the NBA season starts, might be a little bit better than ESPN. Now, I don't know if Shannon Sharpe is going to be part of the NBA team when NBA season starts. You got Christopher Mad Dog Russo, you got Stephen A. Smith, you got JJ Redick, you got Kendrick Perkins, and now and the possibility of Shannon Sharpe. So I don't know how that's going to work, but it really depends on who Undisputed is going to hire to debate with Skip Bayless. Me personally, I would hire Jalen Rose, Mark Jackson. I feel like those two guys right there are polar opposites of Skip Bayless, and they're going to give Skip Bayless havoc. Okay. And maybe Keyshawn Johnson, but I think Keyshawn Johnson's knowledge of NBA is not on the same level if Shannon Sharpe continues to be on First Take when basketball season starts. Okay, it's night and day. All right, now let's get into the final topic. Okay, and the final topic is the dynamic between Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharpe. Now, both of those articles I quoted, basically, if Stephen A. Smith has 2 years remaining on this contract, and there have been several reports out there, and I have said it on this channel, that Stephen A. Smith is pursuing other avenues, life after First Take and life after ESPN. There's been reports out there that he wants to have his own late night show. Stephen A. Smith hired a Hollywood agent. There are some other reports out there that he may want to dabble into politics. I don't think Stephen A. Smith politics was the in thing like 5 or 6 years ago. Not so much. Okay, so I don't know if Stephen A. Smith still has a strong desire to continue to do politics, but you've been noticing Stephen A. Smith has been doing a lot with his own brand and his own content. He has a Stephen A. Smith show on YouTube. Okay, but I feel like Stephen A. Smith wants to be more Hollywood. He wants to get out of just talking about sports topics. Stephen A. Smith feels like, he has a vast knowledge on everything, and he's entertaining, he's funny, he's very informational, and he's a likable dude, okay? That's what the Stephen A. Smith fans are quoting, and that's what Stephen A. Smith quotes, okay? So, now there is a strong possibility, there's a possibility that Stephen A. Smith will finish out his last 2 years at ESPN, and he's going to walk away and walk off into the sunset. Now, I've been hearing it's a little bit different. I've been hearing that Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharpe are colluding. They're collaborating on their contracts, their future contracts moving forward with the worldwide leader of sports. They see where ESPN is going with ESPN. The ESPN that we know now is going to be totally different down the road. Okay, they see ESPN is willing to pay top dollar for Pat McAfee because Pat McAfee is the in thing. Okay, he's the algorithm. He is extremely popular. Not only in sports entertainment, but just in entertainment as a whole. All right. And Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith sees this. All right. Now, with this success on First Take, I feel like Shannon Sharpe is they're going to rip this contract. I don't know how long the contract is with Shannon Sharpe and ESPN, but I'm willing to bet ESPN is willing to rip this contract up and give Shannon Sharpe a bigger contract with more money. He will be an executive producer. He'll be hosting his own show. He's going to be doing his own thing. Now, he can either do his own show or be the permanent host of First Take. All right. Now, if he's the permanent host of First Take, then Stephen A. Smith, days are numbered at First Take. I think he's going to play out his last 2 years, and he's going to go to greener pastures. But when you look at NBC, ABC, CBS, if he's going the late night television route, which of those late night shows he's going to replace? Not Jimmy Kimmel. I keep forgetting the Tonight Show. I forgot that guy who hosts the Tonight Show. And CBS, I think they have Seth Meyers. Okay. Of those three, and I could have pulled it up, but I didn't. Of those three, who he's going to replace of those three shows? Because it's obviously going to be the first late night show. Okay, he's not going to leave ESPN to host a late night show after those shows. Okay. And there's a strong possibility that ABC, and there's been talk that Disney is willing to sell ABC to another network or another company. And if that happens, all right, they're going to be looking for a talent for their investment. Okay. And what better talent than Stephen A. Smith? There's a possibility that he can be, but like I said earlier, I don't see Stephen A. Smith knocking any of those guys on their late night show. All right. What I've been hearing, Stephen A. Smith wants to stay at ESPN. He just wants a bigger contract. All right. And if Stephen A. Smith stays, then that will, if Stephen A. Smith stays, and if ESPN rips up Shannon Sharpe's contract and give him a bigger contract, that means that Shannon Sharpe, they're going to separate Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharpe, because they're going to have the same situation that Fox Sports 1 had with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. All right? And it's from this perspective. You're going to top out Shannon Sharpe, and then you're going to turn around and top off, you're going to give Shannon Sharpe the biggest, you're going to give him a big-time contract, and you're going to give Stephen A. Smith a big-time contract. But they're going to be on the same show. So you're not going to reap the rewards or the benefits of maxing out these two guys, and they're just only going to be on one show. The perfect scenario is you're going to max out Stephen A. Smith, and Stephen A. Smith is going to continue to host First Take. And then you're going to max out Shannon Sharpe, and he's going to do his own show. That's the best bang for buck you're going to get. All right? So, I think Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith, they're collaborating on getting bigger deals, but they don't know any more about their own future with ESPN as well as us. But if they continue with these huge ratings and this huge success, ESPN wants to expand this and dominate the rating wars when you talk about their competition. When you talk about CBS Sports, NBC Sports, Fox Sports 1, they're all striving to fight for second. They're not going to get first in the ratings if ESPN got Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith. All right? But that's why you're hearing that, Stephen A. Smith is saying, well, Shannon Sharpe is going to be my successor. Shannon Sharpe is going to host First Take for the future. Shannon Sharpe is the future. I'm going to go to greener pastures. I'm going to do my own thing. I think that's leverage to ESPN, and it's going to make ESPN do something as, well, we need to just rip up Shannon Sharpe's contract, give him another contract offer, give him the bag, give him the freedom, give him the control, similar to like Pat McAfee, but we're going to have him do his own show, do his own thing, because we're going to get more bang for buck if Shannon Sharpe has his own show, Stephen A. Smith still doing First Take. That's two shows. You're maxing out two guys. All right? Now, I see down the road how the rotation debaters that debate Stephen A. Smith, they're going to be in and out every year and year, because they're going to be like, wait a minute, you're maxing out Shannon Sharpe, you're maxing out Stephen A. Smith. Well, what type of future I have with ESPN? And then what does this mean for Molly? Because Molly low-key wants her own show. She thought she was going to get her own show years ago when she was married with Jalen Rose. And ESPN at one point in time, thought that Molly and Jalen Rose should have their own show, like a morning show, similar to like Kathy Lee and Regis. They thought that they can be the next Kathy and Regis. All right, did not work out that way. All right, Jalen Rose has been let go by ESPN, and Molly is still the moderator over there at First Take, and still there hasn't been any talk about Molly, having her own show, or Molly doing radio for ESPN, or having her own podcast. If you look at Joy Taylor, at the short time Joy Taylor was the moderator at Undisputed, Joy Taylor has eclipsed Molly, has eclipsed Molly. I'm going to say this. She started off as the moderator at First Take. Now, due to a promotion or due to She just wanted more star time, and she wasn't going to get it because of Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith. I mean, Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless, talking and taking up a lot of the airtime. However y'all want to phrase why she went to went to the Herd Show. She was / moderator, but she was really the host of a co-host to Colin Cowherd. And then she got her own radio show on Fox on the weekend. I think it premieres on Saturday. I don't know if she still has that radio show. She has her own podcast. And now she is one of the hosts for Speak. In a short amount of time, she already done eclipsed a Holly. In a short amount of time. Holly is still the moderator at First Take. Joy has moved past being a moderator. And that's just telling me Fox Sports 1 takes Joy Taylor more seriously than ESPN does with Molly. As long as, and I'm pretty sure Molly makes buku money over there at ESPN, and she's probably looking at it as, I'm making a lot of money just sitting here and every once in a while speaking and moving the topics along. Okay, so yeah, that's all I got for today's video. This video is going to be extremely long, but this video should hold you over until Monday for the next live stream of Just My Opinion podcast. It's your boy, the host with the most. I do not brag or boast, and I'm coming to you guys live from coast to coast. Be sure, be well aware, be informed to subscribe to the links down below in the description below. Okay, always, if you want to donate to your brother from another mother, hit the Cash App, $ I'm Christian Don 1. It's in the link as well. I'll see you guys when I see you next Monday. All right, deuces.